Hey everybody, it's Kevin from Twin Talk, and today we're going to be talking all about Bumblebee. Stick around to the end of the episode to see how our drawing of Bumblebee came out. And if you like what you see, subscribe to the channel for more content. Bumblebee is a 2018 film directed by Travis Knight, starring Haley Steinfeld and John Cena for the most part. Dylan O'Brien is the voice of Bumblebee for about 10-15 minutes. This movie was a breath of fresh air, a welcomed introduction to a very stale franchise from Michael Bay. And I gotta say, I thoroughly enjoyed this film. It's fun, it's lighthearted, heartfelt, vibrant. This movie kind of gives us a backstory of how the Transformers got to Earth. From the moment it starts, we finally see Cybertron, which I wish that these movies would focus a little bit more on. The first, 5-10 minutes of this film is absolutely breathtaking. It felt like you were playing the video games. It felt like you were playing with the toys as a kid, making up the voices as you go, all the sounds, all that, the accessories. It was beautiful to watch. This movie is a prequel to the 2007 Michael Bay Transformers starring Shia LaBeouf. It's set in 1987, which was also welcomed because it's a time period piece, which makes for a lot of fun with the music, some of the greatest music in history. And it's really cool to play around with the fact that the Transformers are in an era before the modern age of technology. And we could kind of see how they can have a more difficult time blending in on Earth and some limitations there with the vehicles they could choose, which made for a lot of fun. Dylan O'Brien does a good job for the few minutes that he is in. Easiest paycheck this guy's probably ever collected. Then we see how Bumblebee loses his voice because we know that he speaks through this car stereo and the speaker system, which makes for a great time. Very playful. He's basically everyone's first car. We fall in love with this character. He's roped into every 18-year-old. Shia LaBeouf wanted a car, young coming of age story. Haley Steinfeld is kind of the female lead version of that. And she does a very good job because for most of the movie, Bumblebee cannot speak. So she holds up the heart and soul of the film. With her backstory between the diving experience, which was kind of convenient for the third act, but it played into the whole isolated, angsty teenager who's looking for a friend, who's looking for an escape. She feels stuck, literally the car that I think she was working on with her dad, who was deceased in the film. She has a connection with that. And so we see Bumblebee kind of kickstart her coming of age story where she falls in love with the car. The side characters are still pretty moronic, the parent aspect with the mom. The young brother Otis, he was very fun. But the love interest, the guy who's been friend-zoned this whole movie, he was alright. Perfect perm, but he was kind of like the goofiest character. John Cena did a fine job for the role that he's in. Very stereotypical of him. But I actually enjoyed his character. He provided a lot of laughter, a lot of over-the-top, military, macho kind of guy. And it was a nice contrast between the light-hearted teenage stuff. Christina Hodson actually wrote this film. I know her from Birds of Prey. I believe she had a hand in writing the upcoming Flash movie, but she could be hit or miss. The overall plot is very solid. Some cheesy moments of dialogue, which I think is the intentions because it's in a very cheesy, nostalgic era of the 80s. But I'm impressed with how engaged I was in this film. Very entertaining, especially because Bumblebee cannot speak for a majority of this film. Optimus Prime is missing for a good portion of the film. He's really at the beginning and the tail end. This was a nice solo film for Bumblebee, who is a very lovable character. I'd say the first and third act are the strongest moments of this film. The second act kind of gets a little muddy with all the teenage romance, the teenage bully, high school type drama. Bumblebee's kind of traumatized by being on the run. He's being hunted down by these Decepticons that were really cool looking. There's a very goofy, stereotypical evil doctor, very poorly acted by the way, but it's like the first encounter of aliens and he wants to know more and research the Transformers, but they're kind of backstabbing him. They're literally Decepticons deceiving him. So I liked how they played into that. I understand the point that we have to involve humans to try and engage the audience, but I generally would love to see just one movie where it's all Cybertron and we get to dive into the characters of the Transformers a little bit more and the world and their lore. My favorite scene is gotta be that opening sequence. The first two opening action sequences were absolutely masterful. That war on Cybertron between the sounds of the actual toys and video games and just how detailed it was. I wanted to get lost in that lore so much more and see an entire feature-length film of that. And then that fight when Bumblebee loses his voice, which is canon to the 2007 Transformers movies, that was a very awesome fight to see. Their war brought to Earth. The moment that Decepticon came in on that jet, I was like, all right, and they saw the symbol on it. I was like, the Transformers are such a cool franchise that they deserve much more praise. I mean, they've lasted almost 4 decades plus, so that says something about how strong of a property it is. Final grade for this film, it's solid, nowhere near perfect, but it is a excellent prequel, excellent soft reboot. Bumblebee not only saved Earth, but he saved the entire franchise without even having to say a word. I'm gonna give this movie an 8 out of 10. What did you guys think about Bumblebee? Let us know in the comments below. Anyways, that about wraps up today's episode of Twin Talk. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment below to join the discussion, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos. We'll see you next time. Peace!